Shambling out of the 90s, a long-forgotten horror genre TTRPG has come to consume your play sessions. Today, let's talk about the cult favorite game, All Flesh Must Be Eaten. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the show. It's Tabletop Tuesday, you all. Roll for initiative. And in this iteration, you're going to be busting out the D10s because this is the Unisystem. Before we launch into the rotten details of this fantastic little zombie survival game, let's consider, briefly, the dice rolling system therein. Designed originally by C.J. Corella for the first editions of his Witchcraft and Armageddon RPGs, which I have sadly not been exposed to. The all-flesh publisher Eden Studios adopted Corella's system under an exclusive license. In this system, you point by your characters rather than rolling them. PCs are defined by the familiar gaming concepts like attributes and skills and qualities and metaphysics if your campaign is using them. Metaphysics are basically superpowers of various kinds, ranging from magic to genetic mutation, telepathy, all that kind of stuff, and so on. Even faith-based such. But if you want an extra few points during character creation, just grab yourself a few drawbacks, which I feel adds some flavor to your character. Attributes are the tried and true 6 definitions we're all familiar with. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, perception takes the spot of wisdom, and willpower takes the spot of charisma. Then you dive into your skills, your qualities, which are positive traits you've no doubt seen in other RPGs, and your drawbacks, referenced a moment ago. Actions are resolved by adding together the character's relevant attribute, the applicable skill, toss a 10-sided dice, check your modifiers, and there you go. You're looking for a 9 or better, and if you roll better than a 9, tables exist to detail the levels of additional success. Now, a final point on the Unisystem. There are 2 genres to it. You got the classic, which is described above and covers all flesh. Then there's also the cinematic version. The cinematic version was made for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Army of Darkness, and Ghosts of Albion, where you need a little bit more dramatic oomph. And this mechanic is precisely what separates the 2 versions, drama. As you get drama points in the cinematic one to really capture that feel of over-the-top, eye-popping gameplay. However, as the cinematic version is not used, I mention it only in passing. No, All Flesh uses the classic version, which is a sight more gritty and deadly, exactly like we like it when we're just trying to survive. Now, getting into the game proper, All Flesh is a bit of a sneaky beast. You don't hear talked about often, but it has a strong cult following, let me tell you. For myself, I was drawn in by a number of elements the game presents. Firstly, it focuses entirely on the survival aspects of the situation. Just like classic zombie horror movies, you're just trying to make it one more day. The rule system is crunchy, which can add layers onto the survival-driven narrative. Now, be aware, this is peak 90s RPG rules, so the GM's going to have to do some work, but it's absolutely fun if you're into it, like I am. Love me some zombie survival horror, man, I'm telling you. Secondly, it's incredibly customizable. You literally build your zombies as the GM, fully fleshing them out. You can have classic Romero zombies. You can have magic zombies like the ones in Heavy Metal from '81. You can have science zombies. You can have voodoo zombies. It's just everything. It's awesome. But it does take a bit of prep on the GM's part, so just be aware. And this goes equally so for the players too. Don't think they get skimped on just because the zombies get so much love. With the already referenced qualities and drawback systems, you can infuse your survivors with a great deal of in-game individuality from the go, but there's also a magnificently robust skill system and a system for potentially developing superhuman powers like magic and whatnot. This means clever GMs are free to take characters in, shall we say, interesting directions. In addition to the numerous dead worlds, as they call them, see, even in the 90s we had a multiverse, there are a plethora of expansions. The first expansion was sort of a pseudo-expansion. It was the Zombie Master Screen, a Zombie Master being this game's version of a Game Master. It came out with not just the screen, but also a book of adventures. We got new rules. We got essays about zombie survival horror. It was fantastic. And next came All Tomorrow Zombies, a sci-fi expansion creating rules for starships, for cyberpunk, and just general futurized technology with a load of new dead worlds to experience. Then came the Atlas of the Walking Dead, greatly expanding zombie creation rules covering the legends of undead from around the world, from Japan to China to the Aztecs and so on. Band of Zombies came after, an homage to the classic World War II series Band of Brothers, and covered zombies set in dead worlds with that kind of flair. We got dogfighting, we got naval combat, we got mass combat rules, a necessity for a World War theme of any era, and tactical mini skirmish rules. This would be the only source book containing only a single dead world. Dungeons and Zombies covered the D&D themed dead worlds. Enter the Zombie took us into the dead worlds, paying homage to classic Japanese, Hong Kong kung fu movies such as Enter the Dragon. And it offered rules on chi techniques, on martial arts, and the fascinating art of gun fu. Fistful of Zombies, an homage to the spaghetti western A Fistful of Dollars, covered Old West and spaghetti western dead worlds. And after that, a personal favorite of mine, One of the Living. This was a player's guide, not a zombie one, with options for survivors, along with rules for depicting a post-Rise dead world and information to help a long-running campaign. It was essentially the opposite side of a one-shot, a guide for the multi-shot. Pulp Zombies came next, paying homage to pulp-themed dead worlds, and included rules on mentalism and another superhuman option for characters. World of the Dead offered a staggering 21 brand new dead worlds to set your zombie survival stories in, while There Be Zombies brought us some pirate flavor. The most serious, dark, and gritty expansion, without a doubt, by far, had to be Zombie Smackdown. No, seriously, this expansion was a real treat, with dead worlds ranging from WWE to Mortal Kombat, which is called Immortal Kombat. It was a lot of fun. And I guess kind of bittersweet, as it was the last true expansion for the game. Now, there were other books too. You had the Book of Archetypes 1 and 2, both detailing a whole slew of alternate archetypes for your survivors. You had the little town of Hamlin, a PDF put out for an adventure in the Pied Piper town of Hamlin. And then there were the Books of All Flesh, anthologies containing several fictional stories, or were they fiction? Set in the dead worlds by various contributors. I got a couple. They're not terrible. These were mainly there, though, to stir inspiration. Now, the game's most prevalent criticism is that it's mid-range crunchy, that there are a lot of numbers to both detail and factor in, and as someone that's just discovered the elegant beauty of Dragonbane, I can attest to the enjoyment of keeping things simple. That being said, there are just as many reviews praising the crunchiness, adding layers to the survival aspects, as there are folks who just don't care for it. And at the end of the day, this isn't a make or break element. It's simply a factor to consider if you plan on playing. Where some other RPGs' downvoted aspects might turn people off entirely from the game, this one is just flavoring. Sauce for the goose, as they say. Now, I'll be diving back into this on this weekend for Solo Play Sunday, so be sure to check that out, and I'll let you know what I think as someone who appreciates simplicity. It's been a good few years since I busted out this system, and honestly, I'm not turned off by the idea of its crunchiness whatsoever. I'm actually pretty pumped to check it out again, so definitely tune in then and see what happens. I imagine there's going to be mortality. Now, it's another scorcher out there, god dang it. And it looks like it's going to drag on for a week or more at this rate. So if you're planning on heading out, make sure you hydrate and definitely grab the sunscreen, as that sun out there is nasty. It has intent to harm. But that's all I got for y'all today. Thanks again to everyone that's tuned in and checked out the show. I appreciate y'all more than I know how to say. And welcome to all the new faces. I hope I put a smile on your face or just amuse you with my hillbilly antics. Now we've cleared the hump of Monday. We're one day away from midweek, so make sure to fortify yourselves with something fun. Roll some dice, watch a good movie, put in a cartoon, pick up a comic book, make some memories, and as always, have a good one.